excited for this.
power ranked all the teams in the playoffs based on who I think should be favorited to win the Stanley Cup based on everything we saw in the playoffs.
Okay.
So I did the top 8 teams. So then 8 teams didn't make my top 8.
Did you rank them 1 through 8?
Yeah, I ranked them 1 through 8. I think that's the important part of this. So I'm going to give you my power rankings of the playoff teams based on everything we saw. And then you guys tell me if I went wrong in any part of my rankings. So number 1, Tampa. I'll just run through it and then we'll go over in detail. Number 1, Tampa. Number 2, New York Islanders. Number 3, Vegas Golden Knights. Number 4, Colorado Avalanche.
Wow.
Number 5, Boston Bruins. Number 6, Montreal Canadiens. Number 7, Carolina Hurricanes. Number 8, Pittsburgh Penguins.
Wow.
So my top 4, I think, is solid, but I'm willing to hear arguments on the order, but I'm not willing to discuss, hey, somebody else should be in this top 4 because this top 4 is solid. It's
no,
Tampa.
You're not even willing to discuss it.
No, try and discuss it with me. I'm not going to be entertaining.
All right.
Adam, this isn't friggin' show and tell, all right? Yeah. This isn't audience participation. The episode's done.
Exactly.
Stop the episode right now.
I'll run over the top 4 again. We can get into details here. Tampa, New York, Vegas, Colorado. Top 4 power rankings of the playoffs. Do you guys have any arguments there with the order?
Not yet.
You know what? I actually really like the top 4. I mean, the top 4.
No, I just want Jesse to get through it.
Mm-hmm.
The bottom 4 again. Boston, Montreal, Carolina, Pittsburgh.
And what? Okay, so this is based on what they did in the playoffs.
Yeah, based on what I saw. I watched pretty much every series in this playoffs. I had a lot of time at home. Couldn't go anywhere. So based on what I saw from these teams, the 4 through 8 is Boston, Montreal, Carolina, Pittsburgh.
I have an issue.
This list features a team that played fewer games than the Leafs. You know this.
Yes.
That would be who?
The Pittsburgh Penguins. The Pittsburgh Penguins were the first round. They played the New York Islanders, who, based on my power rankings, were the second best team in these playoffs. They took them to 2 overtime games, and the second overtime game was a double OT game. I consider those coin flips. If you're in overtime in the NHL in the playoffs, those are coin flip games. And they lost the series 4-2. Those 2 games could have gone either way. And then I saw them play them hard on. I believe one of those losses was a little bit of a blowout loss. I know game 6 where it ended was a 5-3 loss where that could have gone either way as well. There's a goal by Barzal because that's how it always ends. Mm-hmm. But I saw Pittsburgh play hard, and if you remember the regular season, they finished 5th in the entire league. New York finished 12th. I saw a really good Pittsburgh team who got bested by the second best team in the playoffs. So I'm going to rank them as my 8th seed coming out of this.
I have an issue with your list.
Where?
One issue.
Where is it?
I think you need to put more respect on the Florida Panthers name.
No, there's another team who lost in the first round and got demolished.
Florida Panthers.
What? Oh my
Florida
God,
Panthers
Jesse.
took 2 games from the Tampa Bay Lightning. And the only other team to do that is the New York Islanders. The Florida Panthers took 2 games. The Carolina Hurricanes, who are on your list, did not. They lost.
The Carolina Hurricanes won a round.
They won a round, but they weren't playing Tampa. And when they played Tampa, they got steamrolled. Yeah. So, yes, and one of those games went to overtime. I would say that we need to have a little more respect for the Florida Panthers for taking 2 games from the Tampa Bay Lightning, a feat no other team as of yet has even come close to accomplishing. Like, really come close.
New York did it.
Who did it? Except for the Islanders. But with the Islanders, we're already in there. They have to be on the list.
I think what ruins your list is I don't know why you put the Islanders second. You might as well put them first. Like based off of this list. Like Pittsburgh should not be on this list.
They should not be on the list.
No, Tampa's the number 1 power rank team. Like that's how are you changing it?
And Vegas is very highly ranked. Otherwise, Colorado would be at least lower on this list.
So that the 3-4, the Colorado Vegas, I had it essentially as a tie, and I gave Vegas the leg up because they beat Colorado.
And you are correct.
That's where I'm just like, hey, you
Boston. It was Islanders, right?
New York, yeah. But Boston, I thought Boston looked incredible, especially with Taylor Hall on your second line when they're playing as well as they are. So that's why they got my 5th seed.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I don't understand how you rank 5 teams ahead of the Habs, man. Here,
look at their road though.
I did a fun little game. The 1 versus 8 series out of your picks is Tampa versus Pittsburgh. Who do you got? Tampa, obviously. So here, I'll keep my little document going. So you have Tampa.
I did this as well. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Islanders versus Hurricanes.
Islanders.
Obviously the Islanders, who no, Carolina lost to Tampa. The 4 versus 5 series, I'm skipping one.
Yeah.
Is Colorado versus Boston. I have Colorado.
Yeah.
I think that's I think by a hair.
Exactly. I don't think they kill them.
That's why it's 4 versus 5. Tell me my power rankings are. We got to 4 versus 5, and you're like, oh, it's barely. Yeah, because that's where they're ranked.
But the 3 versus 6 series. And the 3 versus 6 series is our first upset because we have Vegas versus the Habs.
Yeah,
and I can't ignore reality. They won. Montreal won.
At the beginning of this podcast, what did you say? Vegas choked. I think based on everything we saw, they knocked off Colorado. Like that was the best team, and they won the President's Trophy. Colorado did. I think they have more talent than probably anybody in this league besides Tampa. And Vegas knocked them off. So I got to say, if we played this again and we had to re-rank these teams, I got to rank Montreal a little in the lower half because I don't believe a lot of what they did is sustainable. And if you run it back, that they win another series against Vegas.
I did look at Game 7, Tampa the Islanders, and I went, okay, like if anybody watched that treat of a series that I thought was going to be boring, you'd know by Game 7, you're like, okay, whoever wins this game is going to win the Stanley Cup. Right? Vegas, there's an argument. Even Colorado, there could be an argument there. Boston, oh man, I don't know how you have the Habs lower than 5th.
Where would you have the Habs?
I think 4th at the lowest. Maybe 3rd.
You can't have them. You really... I mean,
I don't know. You have
but
the
they
Habs
beat
over Colorado?
Vegas.
They did beat Vegas.
Does it count for nothing that they beat Vegas, who is 3rd?
It counts for a lot. But if you run it back, who are you putting your money on?
Well, if we go back in time, I'm putting money on Vegas.
I can tell you what.
If we run it back knowing what I know, I'm putting money on the Habs because Vegas was terrible.
Yeah, but if you run it back and everything's flat again, and you go back in time, your money's on Vegas.
It's weird. You're using July's results, but May's logic. It's really
how much.
That's what's confusing me, man.
What played? There's a reason they always play the games because the games aren't won on paper.
It's true.
But when you're evaluating teams, you have to do it with what happened on the ice and with the talent in front of you and what you know. And if I'm doing that, how much do we believe even the Montreal Canadiens are going to come out of the Atlantic Division as a playoff team next year?
No, nobody believed that. Not even the Canadiens.
Well, no, next year.
No, next year. No, we're not sure. Listen, let's be real here. The 18th place Montreal Canadiens are a question mark to make the playoffs next year. And if you don't like that, then look at the results of the regular season.
They're the most fascinating team in the National Hockey League.
Without question. I'm not saying they don't deserve what they have. But 18th place, they would not have made the playoffs if this was a normal year.
How do I give them a higher seed than the President's Trophy winners? I don't. That'd be absurd.
So I think you got to at least have them above Boston.
Boston's really good.
Then put the Islanders 1.
What? No, Tampa's 1.
Tampa's 1.
Well, then Boston drops below Montreal, in my opinion.
Okay. And Panthers over Pittsburgh, by the way. Panthers over Pittsburgh.
That's an 8-9. That's I'd be willing to hear that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I thought this list was perfect.
No, Jesse, I got a Mazda to sell you,
said the top 4.
I got a Mazda to sell you.
The top 4.
We'll
we're a lock. The top four were locked. I'm willing to hear arguments on Pittsburgh. I don't buy it because what I saw out of Florida in the playoffs was not great. Like they were
goaltending.
Yeah, it was the goaltending, and they didn't win a round. So I don't know. So we have two teams here who didn't win a round. So I take the more impressive team out of the two, which I thought was Pittsburgh, because I loved what I saw towards the end of the regular season when they brought in Brian Burke and they fired their head coach and they went on a little run. They finished fifth, 2 points behind Florida, to be honest. But I think with that lineup versus the Islanders, they looked great. 2 overtime losses, coin tosses. But Florida, I'm willing to hear an argument that they could knock off Pittsburgh in a 7-game series.
So, I think we have the reason why Pittsburgh made the list, and that is because producer Jesse, just Jesse, I got to stop calling you that. Jesse has kept in touch with Brian Burke since the interview that he conducted on this show about 6 months ago. They've been drinking highballs together over Zoom because that's what Brian was drinking when he was on this show, we think. And Brian said, "Hey, Jesse, if you ever do a power rankings list, you make sure I'm on it. You make sure my damn team."
I don't even care if I'm eighth.
So I think a consensus we've come to is a top 9. If we include Pittsburgh, we have a top 9 of teams. What do you
the Leafs
think?
took Stanley Cup finalists to 7.
What do you guys think of the teams that didn't make it?
Oh, I think it starts with the Leafs, as it always does.
I'll never forgive them.
It's an unforgivable thing. And basically, if we've taken a shot at your team, believe me, we've taken 10 shots at ours. I think the Leafs look the worst of all the teams that didn't make the list. And I don't think, objectively, from a hockey perspective, I don't think that you can look at that any other way. From Jesse's list, if we're just ranking it on biased for the playoffs, which I think we are, we're looking at the most disappointing team is far and away the Toronto Maple Leafs. Look at the teams that didn't make this list, okay? If we're talking about the top 9, okay? So we got Nashville, we got Washington, St. Louis, Minnesota, Edmonton, Winnipeg, right?
Winnipeg.
Of those teams, I mean, not that the Capitals are bad, but the expectations of the Capitals weren't exactly high this year. St. Louis had an up and down year. The Wild came on strong at the end, and you can see where they're going. But it's sort of they're a house money play. The Oilers are disappointing because Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl were absolute mutants this year. But beyond that, it's a very ho-hum team, and it is.
I think they're less than that.
And I was getting somebody was debating me again about the Taylor Hall Hart Trophy. Like, Taylor Hall got his team to the playoffs. Where would they be without him? I'm like, how far in the basement do you think the Oilers would be without McDavid any season since he's been there? They would be so they would have 10 more first overall picks if McDavid hadn't been.
Can we put a deadline for Taylor Hall 2017 MVP takes?
No.
Can we?
I will forever die on that hill. I will forever die on that hill. He did not deserve it. It was Connor McDavid's year.
So here, I want to finish this up though, because we have Tampa versus. Sorry.
I'm just saying, look at the expectations of the teams that did not make the list. Not a single one of them comes even close to the division-winning Toronto Maple Leafs.
I hate them.
And by the way, the Pittsburgh Penguins won the division too.
They stand out like a sore thumb.
I hate them a lot. So we have
go through the
Tampa versus Montreal, which is an interesting series for obvious reasons. And the Devon Taves Bowl, the Islanders take on the Colorado Avalanche.
That would have been so good to see.
That would have been a good series.
Yeah. You know what? I think the Isles win.